This is the Brave New Coin Crypto Conversation, hosted by Andy Pickering.
Hi everyone, Andy Pickering here. I'm your host and welcome to the Crypto Conversation, a Brave New Coin podcast where we talk to the people building the future in the Bitcoin, blockchain and cryptocurrency space. My guest today is DJ J-SCRILLA. DJ J-SCRILLA is a critically acclaimed producer, mixtape DJ, illustrator, and he's even a podcast host. But he's best known as being a hip-hop DJ and producer. DJ J-SCRILLA began producing back in 2001, and he has since developed an extensive discography which boasts Hall of Fame rappers such as Killer Mike, Raekwon, Smif N Wessun, and more. DJ J-SCRILLA has just released a new underground hip-hop album. It's called Sound Money, and it's all about the story of Bitcoin. Welcome to the show, DJ J-SCRILLA.
Thanks a lot, Andy.
All right, man. So, look, I'm not going to lie. You're kind of a different guest for me here on the Crypto Conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, I've had on everyone from Andreas Antonopoulos to Sergey Nazarov to John Mcafee. All the crypto crew come through here, but you are the first rapper on the show. So I reckon we just embrace the chaos and we're going to do a full hardcore hip hop episode of the Crypto Conversation. How does that sound?
I love it. And just one correction though, I'm not a rapper, I'm a producer. I make the beats and and I'm also an artist. So I kind of put the whole project together and I reached out to a few rappers to get on the project itself.
Of course. All right. Well, thank you for clearing that up. Look, man, why don't you take us back to the beginning? Just fill us in a little bit about who you are, where you're from, and what your hip-hop origin story is.
Sure, yeah. I'm from America, the Washington, D.C. area to be exact. I got into hip-hop at a young age, and I started DJing, and then got from DJing into producing. I started putting out records, like you said, in 2001. That's pretty much what my life was for a long time. Up until about 2014, I stopped doing a lot of music and I got really deep into Bitcoin. I kind of like threw everything out the window, grew a long beard and grew my hair out and just learned about Bitcoin and traded and did a bunch of stuff in Bitcoin for a few years. And last year I got roped back into the music industry, producing for a guy's album, and I kind of just went right back at it hard. And I've put out the Sound Money album because it's my passion, Bitcoin and music. And I wanted to kind of tell the story through a musical journey, a narrative, like a documentary even, of what Bitcoin kind of came from and is, and what kind of the reason people got into Bitcoin. A lot of times I think now older Bitcoiners and stuff, they forget why they got into it. And I kind of wanted to really emphasize, I think, the fondness of Bitcoin in this album. And I want to kind of make it like a documentary, like I said, kind of just like people who don't have Bitcoin or care about Bitcoin, they could still listen to it and be interested, just like you could watch a documentary about something that you're not into, but it's still interesting.
Absolutely. And, you know, you have quite a unique style of producing music, I think, which is obviously very well suited for creating almost like a hip hop collage that represents the story of Bitcoin. But I just want to kind of dig into your influences a little bit, and you know, I'd love to hear you kind of define your musical production style in the context of contemporary hip hop.
Sure. Raw, grimy, dirty, but clean and polished sounding. I guess, you know, my influences are like Wu-Tang, Madlib, DJ Muggs, who's a producer for like Cypress Hill and a bunch of people, and newer artists like Kanye. Well, not newer, I guess, but newer than Wu-Tang. You know, that style of music where I'm a producer, so like generally when I make beats, it's 3 different levels, I guess, of production. I make a beat and send it to an artist, and they do what they do with it, and I'm not really producing the record, I'm beat making. Then there's a production where I take control of the record and fine-tune it all the way down to the mixes and the ideas and helping. And then this is my own project and I can do what I want with no limitations, like I did all this, you know, like from the ground up is all me on this particular project where I put it all together, and then got a couple of rappers on it, and then got my friend Wise, who's an influence also. He's a mix engineer from around here, and he mixed it down, and then put it out kind of like an underground indie, you know, DIY self, just kind of going hard with it, because it's a different type of music, I think, that I'm trying to create with this album. You know, it's kind of like financial hip hop, and I kind of felt this was a good time to release it because of the awakening of it. I know I kind of went beyond that question.
That's all good. That's all good. Hey, but you're in DC, right?
Yeah.
Been asking this question just at the beginning of podcasts these at the moment, just because it's good to kind of get a context for where each individual guest is based, and I'm always interested just in what the vibe is like on the ground in terms of, you know, COVID-19 and lockdown and what you see happening around you.
DC is in between Maryland and DC. It's a little small piece, if anybody doesn't know. It's kind of like a city, and it's not as locked down as what I've seen in the rest of the states going on. Like if I go to the Whole Foods market or a giant food store, there hasn't been a line. There hasn't been like people handing out sanitation wipes or anything like I've seen in Virginia or Maryland, which is nearby. We're actually, I'm out in Maryland at the kind of like in the woods right now for a little bit, just to get away from all the city stuff. So I'm on
a good plan.
On a little inlet right now, just chilling with my son and wife.
One of the things that's interesting about, you know, the current global pandemic and so much of the world is on lockdown is, you know, you will have seen a lot of DJs and producers have been performing online. Did you catch the DJ Premier RZA from Wu-Tang, their kind of back-to-back battle?
That was honestly, Andy, that was like the most exciting 3 hours of my COVID experience, and it was honestly one of the best hip hop moments in recent memory I can remember.
It was crazy, right? It kind of bordered. It went from moments that it was like almost unlistenable to moments of pure genius, but it was incredible, right?
Yeah, and just the little stories that RZA and Premier were talking in between, and how they segued every beat for the most part was just, I mean, that was like priceless for a hip hop fan. Mm-hmm.
No doubt. All right, well, you're like, as well as being a producer, you're, I guess, a bit of an illustrator and an artist, which obviously goes hand in hand with hip hop culture. Mm-hmm. And I see you've done these album covers, and I think you call them trading cards, but you've made them in the form of like NFTs or non-fungible tokens, blockchain assets. Mm-hmm. You've done this wild collection of meme art. You've got Pepe's in there. You've done tributes to Run DMC, Tribe Called Quest, even Kim.com. Just before we get into Sound Money, the album, just, what's that about? Okay,
so in 2016, I was on Twitter, and I've discovered people that were memeing some of the Twitter people, and like a Garbage Pail Kids type of vibe, which is like a 1980s, you know, weird trading card play on Cabbage Patch Kids. And it immediately made me be like, oh, I need to find out what's going on here, because I was already into Counterparty a little bit, and Bitcoin, of course, and that's what they were using. It took me like 3 days to discover how to even do any of this stuff. I got into a Telegram chat. I never had Telegram at the time. Got in, and it was like 100 like Rare Pepe trading people just it was like talking about Rare Pepes and the art and stuff like that and tokenized and stuff. But the big picture in that of what that was basically creating and making fun of all the ICOs that were going on at the time, because they weren't NFTs. NFTs came later. Some of them were NFTs. Yeah. There's only one token made, but these were on Counterparty, and you can make like 1 to like 1 billion tokens, and just like an ERC20. It was kind of equivalent to ERC20. I think ERC20 kind of copied what like Mastercoin and Counterparty were kind of that same vibe. And it was that. So every time you created a token, it was easy. You could be on the bathroom taking a crap, and you can create a token right on your phone. And then you'd submit it to the Rare Pepe artists, the Rare Pepe scientists, they call themselves. And it was all like a kind of a parody of the whole like ICO craze at the time. And they'd put them out, and then people were just wrapped up in how interesting you could do stuff with. Like I have one token that you can have exclusive music on a private SoundCloud page if you own it. So like you go to the Rare Pepe wallet, you click on the DJ Pepe token. If you don't have the token, you don't see that there's bonus content. But if you do have the token in your wallet, it recognizes it, and you can be redirected to a private SoundCloud page where I have some like cutting room floor exclusives on there. That was more like an experiment for it, because I think like if somebody like Kanye West or somebody used that and put out like 5 tokens where he has exclusive access behind a paywall, like it would go crazy, and like the secondary market would just be wild, like just to watch. And then I made the hip hop Pepes, and I made the, you know, like you said, the Kim.coms. And my whole style of Rare Pepe art was more like, I wasn't into the whole like alt-right movement and stuff like some people in the Rare Pepes were. And really that was a small percentage. But I wanted to make sure that people knew that Rare Pepe was a meme and not controlled by any entity. So, I mean, like Vice Magazine and Motherboard and RT News and big bunch of periodicals covered it during that time because they were just, Rare Pepe was a craze. But we always, a lot of us would be in there talking to the journalists like, yo, we're not part of that. Like, there's people from Venezuela, Japan, the UK, Africa, China, everywhere was in this group. Like, Rare Pepe at that time in the media was being like taken a little bit by the alt-right, but only in America. It wasn't international, so we weren't even looking at it like that.
Nice. Well, just through looking through your website, and of course, listeners, all of this stuff will be in the show notes. But I can tell just looking through your website, man, that you've been obviously deep down the underground hip hop rabbit hole, but also deep down the crypto rabbit hole for some time as well. So let's get into the good stuff. Let's start to talk about the new album, Sound Money. But just before we do that, I think it would be cool if we could set the mood and maybe just roll out some beats. Let's play the first track of the Sound Money album. It's called 21 Million, and I think we will know why. Let's set the mood. Here it is.
He was like, yo, do you know how happy I was for you to see you just shoot up to the top of the Bitcoin conversation? He was like, yo, you literally did the impossible.
We really gotta figure out a better way to budget for this family's future.
Bitcoin.
What?
I don't know.
It's just a tool, though, isn't it?
Ladies and gentlemen. Bitcoin.
There will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin mined.
Sound money.
I'm open these doors for all colors, you know what I mean? For all opinions, for all ideologies.
It's an alien life form.
Bitcoin.
This money.
1 million. Million. Million.
Bitcoin.
You get the bag and fumble it, I get the bag and flip it and tumble it.
Million.
This is John Mcafee, and you, lucky people, are listening to Guns and Money, Bitcoin Techno.
All right, man. Well, that was the sound of 21 Million. That, of course, is the first track off Sound Money. Take us away, Mr. DJ J-SCRILLA. What's the background to 21 Million and the first track on the album, and what are you trying to say here?
So I kind of want to make it kind of an in-your-face track. Like, it kind of has a jazzy build-up, but then it just goes into a very hard horn stabs, because I feel like Bitcoin did that in the world in 2008, 2009. It just exploded like a Genesis block, and I wanted to be in your face because that's what Bitcoin is. It's in your face, and it's a big deal. I want to kind of have like a hard. That's definitely like the hardest like track on the album in terms of like there's no melody. It's just kind of hard in your face. And I sampled some people talking, and I liked what Hotep Jesus had said. I sampled him about it because Bitcoin is not about just Bitcoin Twitter. Bitcoin is about like Bitcoin, and people, like most of the people everybody on this album except for probably K Beta, they have no idea what crypto Twitter is or Telegram Twitter or any of that stuff is, or Telegram crypto. They just know that they use Bitcoin because that's what they use. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like the faces aren't just crypto Twitter. Like I want to touch kind of everybody and explain to them that Bitcoin is for everybody. It's not just some kind of financial thing and market and investing thing. Like, it's actually a tool that people should pay attention to. And I think I got into that a little bit more into the album as to why. And I ended it with John Mcafee, a little drop, just because I just thought it was kind of funny.
Yeah, man. Well, look, hey, you're exactly right. Look, that is one of the beautiful things about Bitcoin, is that anyone on earth can get involved, and Bitcoin can mean different things to different people. You know, it's up to you how you use Bitcoin, and that is one of the really attractive features of Bitcoin, I think.
Absolutely.
I mean, you talk about sampling these people like Hotep Jesus and John Mcafee, and we'll talk about some of the other people you've sampled as we go deeper into the podcast, no doubt. But what's your style of production here in terms of finding those samples? And do you talk to the people involved, or do you just find something that kind of fits in the narrative you want to tell?
Like you said at the beginning, this is collage. This is like a collage. Definitely.
Nice.
Like if you listen to DJ Shadow or something, this is
Yes.
it's kind of like that.
Cold
Like,
cut.
this is what I'm doing with Bitcoin samples and the occasional rapper on there. So like the John Mcafee was him actually talking to me on a podcast. So I sent, he did that for me, and then the rest of them were just like random stuff I found on the internet. And I didn't focus on like who I sampled, which some Bitcoiners may have a problem with, because, or I should say some hardcore Bitcoin maximalist shit will have a problem. It's like, oh, I'm not listening to someone with Hotep Jesus, or I don't want to hear what Warren Buffett has to say about Bitcoin and stuff like that. But it's the nuance. Like it's not about if you like or hate anybody or whatever. Those words that I captured for every song means what it means for that song.
Look, I love that. And that's the essence of hip hop, right? It's, you know, you take a sample and you can use that sample however you want to use it to construct your narrative and make your soundscape.
Yep, exactly.
Track 3 is called Dream of Empire. What I love about this track is there's a very distinctive Flavor Flav from Public Enemy sample, which you know, gotta love some Flavor Flav. But even more interesting, you got a bit of an XRP diss in the beginning there. What's happening here? Are we? You're not an XRP guy?
Nah, definitely not. And I like that you said that, because you're the first person that I've talked to that's picked up on that, and I was really proud of that. Yeah, that's exactly what it was. It was just a quick XRP diss, and that XRP represents a lot of shit coins in my opinion.
No doubt.
So that's all that was. Like, so, you know, you can listen to the album and hear it, but yeah, that's what that was.
Cool. You've got some underground rappers spitting some guest verses throughout the album. Do you want to just give a shout out to some of these rappers and maybe just explain a little bit about who they are and why you're working with them? And are they also Bitcoin guys as well?
Absolutely. So when I started with this album, I did an album in 2014 called Silk Road. It was about the Silk Road with 2 other producers, and we got a bunch of rappers on it, but they didn't know anything about the dark web or the Bitcoin or anything. So it was a little bit of a letdown when I made it in terms of that. So for this album, I specifically reached out to rappers that use Bitcoin, have rapped about Bitcoin before, and I knew that they knew what it was. So Rome Streets appears on that track 3, and he's kind of like an underground king right now. He's blowing up. You'll be hearing more of Rome Streets a lot. He's doing well, and he put out a song called Alpha Bay a year ago, and that's when I was like, oh shit, all right. And then I started hearing a lot of stuff. If you listen to like Griselda records or like that type of vibe, a lot of like the dark, grimy hip hop that's coming out, street music. There's a lot of guys that just you'll hear like little mentions of cryptocurrency, and I've started to pick up on that over the last few years. Like, okay, this is what I've been waiting for. Like my style of music, and these guys are rapping about Bitcoin a little bit, or about some kind of crypto or blockchain. Like Royce the 5'9" said it. Even like Big Sean, who's bigger, has said it. But then you hear a lot of the underground guys talking about it, and it makes a lot of sense to me. And so I reached out to Rome. I actually reached out to Uncle John first, who's on track 5, because I had a little bit more of a relationship with him. And he put the Bitcoin logo on the back of his last album. And I asked him, I was like, what is that? And he's just like, oh, I'm just like, I don't even know why he did it, to be honest. It was just, he doesn't know a lot about Bitcoin, but he's like super like intuitive and futuristic, and him putting that on there was like a sign to me, like, all right, that's dope. Like, this guy's got a big buzz. He didn't have any Bitcoin songs on there. He just threw the Bitcoin logo on there. He didn't accept it in Bitcoin or anything. I don't think he knew how probably, but that was a big thing to me. So I reached out to him first to do a song, and then K Beta and Fleetwood DeVille. They're both guys I kind of got into crypto a few years ago. K Beta definitely is active Bitcoiner and stuff, and then Fleetwood DeVille a little bit less, but he knew about it. So I had them kind of close out the album, and they did a little bit more blockchainy, which was the end of the album, and it kind of made sense to me because it's like open-ended. Like I kind of left the last song open-ended so that there could be a continuation of the story.
There are signs that Bitcoin and and I suppose cryptocurrency, there's burblings of interest, I would describe it, in both the US music scene and also the US sports scene, right? Some influential musical figures and some fairly big name sports guys as well who are starting to talk about Bitcoin. And I'm sure there's heaps more that either have some Bitcoin or but they just wouldn't feel comfortable talking about it yet. But, you know, that's starting to change, don't you think?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's like, was it Russell's, I forget his name, from the NFL. He's like a huge ambassador for it now.
That's right. I forget his second name as well, but yeah,
and then the basketball player Dinwiddie or whatever, he just I guess, sold a percentage of his contract for some kind
Katy
of
Perry, of course, back in 2017 had that notorious Instagram photo when she'd put like Monero and Bitcoin and ETH logos on her fingernail art.
Yeah, that was crazy. That was definitely close to the top too.
Yeah. And even Kanye West, I think he hasn't come out and directly spoken about Bitcoin too much, but he did have a tweet when he said something like
decentralize it or
decentralize all the things or something. Yeah.
And he lives in Wyoming now and stuff. I feel like Kanye definitely has Bitcoin.
No doubt. Yeah.
Yeah, boy.
Track 8 on your album is called Sound Money, and the first sample on that is by a guy called Josh. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, what was his name on Twitter? Carpe
Noctem.
Yeah, exactly. I'd followed his trading stuff for a while actually, and he's from DC. I had told him in a direct message actually. I was trying to meet up with him at a lightning meeting, but before the COVID thing, I guess maybe it got canceled. I thought I saw him say he was going to go, so I was going to play him the track. But I sampled him saying this is not financial advice, and he kind of got the name of that song is Bullish, and he says we're feeling bullish here or something like that too.
Spiritual living on this channel is for educational purposes only and is not intended as financial advice.
We're getting there. We're more bullish than we've been.
He's an early Bitcoin investor. And he thinks that Bitcoin's going to keep on going straight up. And did you tell me during the break? I know you did. Repeat it for the viewers. You think it's going to go to $1 million?
Well, let's just give a shout out to Josh. It's Josh Olszewicz, who of course Josh is a good friend of mine. Josh is the lead analyst here at Brave New Coin.
Yeah.
He's an all-round good guy. He comes over and sees us here in New Zealand once or twice a year. It's cool that you've sampled him, and it was actually Josh that turned me on to your album. So shout out to Josh.
Big up, Josh.
I want to talk about Money Printer Go Brr.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is actually my favorite song on the album, not just because of the meme, although, you know, the meme is a part of it, but probably my favorite beat on the album. It's a really smooth, catchy, rolling beat. And I think what we'll do is we'll play the song in 1 second, but just before we do that, why don't you just kind of set the scene? Is this your interpretation of the meme and why the sound?
So this song came together really oddly in terms of how great it turned out for the timing of the economy. I started this whole album with that song, and it was all about the 2008 financial crisis and, of course, Satoshi's words in the first block. And I then, started finishing the album, and then the whole economy collapsed. And right before I was about to turn this album in, the Money Printer Go Burr meme came out, and I was like, all right, I got to include this in this song somehow. So I went back to it and tightened it up a little bit with some more, a couple more relevant things. But then, of course, the Money Printer Go Burr, or haha Money Printer Go Burr. And I sampled that from another Money Printer Go Burr YouTube video, which, they're out there everywhere now. But as far as I know, this is the only original song about Money Printer Go Burr. The rest of them are South Korean or K-pop and anime stuff. Yeah, I'm really happy with this song, and it's gone pretty well with the video, a little meme video I made. It's done pretty well.
Yeah, there's a super cool video of that on YouTube. Of course, that'll be in the show notes. Let's play the song, and then we'll go to a quick break, and then we'll come back and finish off with the very famous Crypto Conversation Hot Take Round. This is Money Printer Go Brr.
Not in generations has Wall Street absorbed the number of body blows it took today.
The world has gone mad, and the system is broken.
The American financial system is rocked to its foundation as top Wall Street institutions topple under a mountain of debt.
Bailed out by the taxpayers.
It's pretty clear they cannot be trusted.
He said, your problem is that you're trying to understand this as an economic story. Once you look at it as a crime story, you'll get it.
Yeah. The Fed is losing control once again. In just a couple of days, the U.S. Federal Reserve has pumped out $125 billion and handed that money over to commercial banks once again.
Above.
Buy low and sell high.
But my faith and my money help me rise above. But my faith and my money help me rise above. But my faith and my money help me rise above. But my faith and my money help me rise above.
You can't just keep being a tool of the globalist financial elites.
But my faith and my money help me rise above.
You are asking for the biggest bailout in the history of this country.
Rise above.
It led to an age of populism, a deep distrust of Wall Street, and a near meltdown of the global economy.
See.
The financial world is rocked by the biggest bankruptcy in U.S. history.
Seems every time you think it's as bad as it could possibly get, another disaster's just waiting around the corner.
Chancellor on brink of second bailout for banks.
Money markets will dry up around the world by the end of the week. ATMs will stop spitting bills. Federal deposit insurance will collapse. Banks will close. Mobs panic. It's going to be the end of the world.
Whether you're an enterprise fund manager or a retail trader, buying and selling cryptocurrencies successfully requires price discovery you can rely on. Brave New Coin's liquid indices provide trusted US dollar prices for Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Ripple. Featuring end-of-day or intraday outputs, you can count on the BLX, ELX, and XRPLX for accurate US dollar pricing for smart contract oracles, settlement price discovery, net asset valuation, and performance analysis. Visit bravenewcoin.com to find out more.
Alright, we're back, and I'm with DJ J-SCRILLA, who has a new underground hip-hop album, Sound Money, out, and it tells the story of Bitcoin. Hey, Mr. DJ J-SCRILLA, I like to finish each Crypto Conversation podcast with a quick round of rapid-fire Crypto Conversation hot takes. Are you up for it?
Yes, sir.
Alright, I just want your hot takes, your hot fire, take your best shot. Here we go. Where do you sit on the Bitcoin maximalist to multi-coin opportunist spectrum?
I'd probably be at about an 8.5.
Yeah, nice, fair enough. I would have been surprised if you said you're an XRP maximalist.
Yeah.
What would you say is your firmest conviction, crypto opinion?
That Bitcoin is free speech.
Nice, I love it. All right, I ask every guest this question. It's a little bit contentious given the current political and economic environment, but who do you think wins the American presidential election 2020?
I have no idea, but I don't think Joe Biden's going to end up running.
Fair enough, we'll just have to see. UBI, Universal Basic Income. I used to talk about this as a potential fix for AI-induced automation, as kind of argued by Andrew Yang back in the Democratic primaries, but now there's this new discussion around UBI as a potential fix for the economic devastation that is happening all around the world. What do you think about UBI? Is this a good idea?
I've never been a fan of UBI. You know, I like Andrew Yang and his ideas of things. He did kind of like make me interested in UBI. I'm not gonna lie. And then with this whole thing going on now, it's interesting. But I feel like I feel like we're in like a Black Mirror thing where it's gonna end up happening. People are gonna be sitting in front of their computers and putting out content to make money. I don't know what the end goal is, but I don't know. UBI is just confusing to me because it's like if you give everybody $1,000 and it just puts the floor higher, in my opinion. But I'm also not an economist, so yeah.
And this is why the money printer go brrr. Bill Gates famously said we tend to overestimate what we can accomplish in 2 years and underestimate what we can accomplish in 10. What do you think the blockchain space looks like in 10 years' time?
It's scary. I'm 50-50 on it. It's either going to be invasive and terrible, or it's going to be exactly what we envisioned. And it all depends on what us Bitcoiners and people that aren't sheep can help accomplish with that.
Yeah, that's nicely said. It's a battle for the future. And look, speaking of which, William Gibson, the sci-fi author, he said the future is already here, it's just not evenly distributed. Can you think of an example of the future being here right now, but most people just aren't really aware of it?
Of course, yeah. I mean, cryptocurrency and Bitcoin particularly, there's so many things going on that people aren't aware of. Even the people that know what or think they know what Bitcoin is, or just know the name Bitcoin, they have no idea like the deepness of the rabbit hole that goes down it.
Totally. All right, we're about to get weird. I ask every guest this question. Let's zoom out. What do you see as the long-term future for the human race? Do you see dystopia or utopia?
I tend to think more positively, so I'm going to go with utopia.
Nice. Hey, it's better to be an optimist. And finally, what is your favorite science fiction book, film, show, or universe?
I probably have to go with the old Star Wars. I'm not huge into sci-fi.
It's all right. I always find it's interesting because there's a lot of crossover between sci-fi and crypto nerds. But in your case, I'd love to throw in a final hip-hop question, and let's just put you on the spot, and I want you to name top 5 hip-hop albums of all time.
Ooh, yeah. All right, so this is always changing every day. But I would say 5 that I can, off the top of my head, that I love are Midnight Marauders by Tribe Called Quest, Moment of Truth by Gangstar, Kanye West, Late Graduation, Mobb Deep, Murder Music, West Side Gun, Hitler Wears Hermes.
Nice. Well, you are a man of impeccable taste, but you missed Yeezus.
Yo, Yeezus is dope too. I like all Yeezus, even the stuff that is kind of unlistenable to me by him. I like. He's not afraid to experiment and put it out there.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. All right. Hey, this has been a lot of fun. Can you tell the people where they can go to follow you on your various platforms and where they can go to get involved with Sound Money, the story of hip-hop and the story of Bitcoin?
Yeah, so you can go to rarescrilla.com and you can get directed to the various sites and stuff that I do, but specifically right now you can go to rarescrilla.bandcamp.com and buy the album or stream it. It will be on streaming sites everywhere in the next couple of days, even hopefully by the end of today. And yeah, get it. And I'm also going to be working on a part 2 eventually here. The idea for me with this is to get it out there as much as possible. And then I would like to try to put out another part 2 kind of with a bigger rollout and even like get some artists like a Big Sean and a couple other people that have a lot more pull to even take this further.
Man, that would be awesome. Thank you for talking to me today. All the best, and keep in touch.
I appreciate it, Andy, and shout out to Brave New Coin.
Shout out to you, my man.
All right, later, bro.
Boom, well there you go, we are done. Thank you to DJ J-SCRILLA, and thank you for listening to the hip-hop edition of the Crypto Conversation podcast. Links are in the show notes to DJ J-SCRILLA's website and YouTube channel, and to the Sound Money album. I have checked, and it is out now on Spotify and other streaming platforms. Shout out to DJ J-SCRILLA. In a past life, I was a bit of a hip-hop nerd, so it was actually super fun for me to do this episode, and I genuinely think that the Sound Money album is also a lot of fun and a cool listen, so I do hope you go and check it out. And finally, just because this is the unofficial hip-hop episode of the Crypto Conversation, we're doing shout-outs. Shout out to Josh for making an appearance on the Sound Money album, holding it down for BNC. Shout out to Grace and Fran at Tekami. Shout out to Michelle and Liz in Finance. Shout out to Dave, Aditya, Ben, and Pierre in Content. Shout out to Knight and Market Data. Actually, shout out to all of the BNC teams holding it down while we're in lockdown. Special dedication to Eve and the team at BNC Pro. Too many others to name, but you guys know who you are. Shout out to my lockdown posse, the Club Tropicana crew. Shout out to Mother Duck, Wazdog, Les, Mau Mau, Johnny English, Kenny G, and Winnie. And also to the kids. Better leave it there. Thanks for listening, everyone, and do stay safe out there. This was the Crypto Conversation for Brave New